couch, a TV, some snacks, and a good internet connection. Those are the essentials of my perfect Friday night. But if I wanted to get high in medieval times, would my evening look any different? Well, yes and no. Back then there were no Doritos-flavored unicorn farts or gummy slugs, but people did have plenty of ways to alter their consciousness. Welcome to Past Reverie, where time slows down and forgotten history drifts like smoke through ancient halls. Tonight we're answering the extraordinary question, what did getting high mean in the medieval world? Let's start simple. Did medieval people consume alcohol? Oh yes. Wine was common, especially in France, where vineyards were already well established. Monks brewed beer and mead, a honey-based drink, was a staple at feasts. Alcohol was also used medicinally and even to preserve water, but while drunkenness was accepted, it was frowned upon. The ideal medieval person drank to feel pleasantly relaxed, not to get roaring drunk. What about recreational drugs? Well, it depends on your definition of drug because, let's face it, everything's a drug if you abuse it. Back then, people used plants and fungi for medicinal and ritualistic purposes, and some of those had mind-altering properties. One such plant was mandrake, whose twisted roots looked like hairy human figures. Legend said the plant screamed when pulled from the ground, so someone else did the dirty work, usually a dog. When consumed, mandrake dulled pain and could send people into dreamlike trances. It was also considered a love drug, but only in the sense that it helped people overcome shock. No medieval Romeo would pop mandrake before asking Juliet to the Renaissance fair. Then there was henbane, an extremely toxic herb that only the most skilled apothecaries dared use in love potions or flying ointments. That's right, medieval witches didn't just rub ointment on their skin to ward off evil spirits, but also to enhance their senses. Some believed that when applied, it gave them the power to fly. Perhaps they took their cues from Homer's Odyssey, where the hero rubbed a magic ointment on his comrades, causing them to forget their troubles and their nakedness. But henbane's most notable effect was its ability to cause hallucinations, so intense that users believed they had left their body. Talk about an otherworldly experience. And don't forget opium. It came to Europe via trade routes, initially used for pain relief. Poppy seeds were even sown along battlefields to help wounded soldiers sleep through their injuries. But what about marijuana? Rumors suggest that hashish arrived in Europe around the 13th century, brought back by travelers from the Middle East. But despite its exotic reputation, little is known about its use or its effects. It was rarely mentioned in literature, suggesting it was more a curiosity than a common substance. And lastly, let's talk about mushrooms. While not native to Europe, hallucinogenic mushrooms made their way to the continent, probably through traders. Their use was widespread, popping up in Swiss folklore as early as the 15th century. These mushrooms were associated with witchcraft, and some believe they could induce visions of the devil. Yikes. If you think this all sounds a bit hippy-dippy, you're not alone. Back then, people were as into spiritual enlightenment as they were into getting blasted. For example, some folks experimented with herbal smoke to achieve altered states of consciousness. Others turned to mystic brews concocted by local wise women, but the most popular method was to drink alcohol mixed with herbs or honey. Remember that sweet treat you had as a kid? Well, it turns out that fermented honey, aka mead, was stronger than it looked. Medieval people drank it during feasts that could last for days, complete with dancing and revelry. Being tipsy or even drunk was part of the fun. However, the church kept a watchful eye on things. After all, public intoxication wasn't exactly in line with their message of moderation and piety. So, there you have it. Medieval people had their fair share of ways to get high, from the vineyards of France to the mushroom-infused mead of Switzerland. Their methods may sound like a mix of fantasy and folklore, but remember, this is real history. And who knows, maybe there's more to these tales than meets the eye. Until next time, stay curious. Oh, and if you're planning your own medieval-themed party, maybe dial down the mushrooms. Just saying. Thank you for watching.